Live and direct from one of my favorite places, actually, in the city. Josh, I appreciate you. The Blind Barber, Culver City, sitting next to, I'm not even gonna front, legend. He would say otherwise. He's humble, legend. You know what I mean? For those of us in the music community, what this guy means, he's everybody's big brother, everybody's uncle. Never been a gatekeeper. I go on and on, but again, appreciate you sitting next to me today on this episode of A Sweet Life. My guy, Marc Byers.
Thanks
Good
for
to see you,
having me.
King.
I appreciate it, man. Good to see you.
Good to see
Yeah, yeah,
you. It's been a long time
yeah,
coming.
yeah. We've been talking about it for a while,
Yeah, but
but
we get into it
yeah,
today.
yeah. Timing is everything.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
How's it going? Talk to me.
everything's going well, man. I can't complain. Been living in Cali for the last 6 years, so you know, took a break from music for about 10, and
Okay.
came back and um, took a GM position at Motown for a while to help Ethiopian coach with some of
Okay.
the things that they were doing, and
Okay.
um, saw an opportunity after that I felt like I should stay, and kind of fell in love with the idea of doing music with Africa over the last 5 years, and
Okay.
so it's been great. It's
Okay.
been great.
Explain first. I mean, we'll jump into your deep history, but you said you took like a 10 year hiatus.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, that's hard to do because this shit moves quickly, right?
yeah.
The landscape has changed immensely from 2014 to 2024. So for you to take a 10 year hiatus prior to that, first of all, what why'd you feel like you needed to step back, and then what was the thing that pulled you back in?
It's funny. I just wanted to test myself in other industries. I recognize that a lot of executives in our business are typically scared because they haven't tested their skills in other industries to understand the how to stay stable.
Okay.
So I consulted some tech companies and
Okay.
consulted Frank Cooper while he was at Pepsi, consumer engagement stuff.
Okay.
He went to BuzzFeed. I consulted him there as well. Um, did some initiatives for the city of Philadelphia to make sure that they recognized the urban landscape of art that was bringing capital to the city. Got them to kind of sponsor the Roots Picnic, with understanding, guys that I came up with, that they were bringing revenue into the city. And the city wasn't recognizing the parking, the new parking that was being paid, a bump up in parking, a bump up in shopping, a bump up in hotel stays, because they were bringing, at that time in the beginning, 10,000 people to the city
Okay.
over a course of a weekend. So, my thing is that how do you not notice that, but how do you also not recognize it as a city? And also realizing how, Comcast having music choice and not creating a door for the arts in Philly. And I realized that they don't recognize where we are and where the city has been globally with urban music since Gamble and Huff. So I just wanted to test my chops, in other things to still help the culture. So, not falling behind in what was happening in music because I never stopped consumer engagement,
Okay.
and ultimately a product is a product. I've never stopped speaking to the same audience.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So in my mind, the game really isn't different.
It didn't change.
No, it didn't change.
Okay.
Like I think they added all these things, and video versus content, this versus that, all of this new slang and technology, um, you know, TikTok. I mean, TikTok, all the social media. What's the difference between that and the banners that we used to put on the poles and all of that stuff? The difference is that it seems like this industry now doesn't really know their audience before they put it out, and it kind of depends on social media and the analytics within that to tell them what has happened. When you're making your product, you should know who's buying it
You should know, right?
from the beginning.
Okay.
And so I think that's the the misconception. And then it's a lot of veterans that aren't in it anymore, at least on the urban side, to kind of mentor some of the young men and women that's in it. So I've been doing a lot of that, having conversations with young folks and kind of giving them a perspective so they don't feel lost, in the minutia of all of this moving around and everything that's happening, you know.
I myself have been a, a sponge. You know what I mean? Let's talk about Philly,
Hmm.
so that we can and that because that's gonna help us get to everything.
Yeah.
Born and raised.
Born in Statesville, North Carolina,
Okay,
actually.
okay,
Yeah,
okay,
raised
okay,
in Philadelphia. My
okay,
parents, my father was in the military,
okay. What branch, if you don't mind me asking?
Marines. Yeah, he was a staff sergeant in the Marines.
Okay.
Um,
Sci-fi.
yeah, they ended up moving to California first, ironically, to Encino
Really?
before I was born. Then
Okay.
I was born, and that the moment that I was born, they went back to North Carolina for a bit because my father was stationed in Philadelphia.
Okay.
So they had to go to Philadelphia to kind of set up shop. So they kind of left me with my grandmother and went up with my brother to kind of set up shop, and then came and got me. So that was a drive from LA basically to North Carolina, from North Carolina to Philly, back to North Carolina, then back to Philly to set up shop.
Okay.
And they moved in this area called Mount Airy, post stand with relatives and stuff like that to get it
Okay.
together.
Okay.
And so we moved into this area. Mount Airy is a great neighborhood. It's piece of a dream. Patty LaBelle lived in my neighborhood. Piece of a dream. I could see them rehearsing across the
Wow.
driveway from me out my bedroom window. Grover Washington was in the area, but slightly over. You had, it was rich in black culture.
Yeah.
It was almost like, Philly's suburban Harlem, so to speak, because it was all entrepreneurs. So the jewelry store owners, the barber shops, the bakeries, every store that I've ever gone to as a young kid was owned by a black person.
I, 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 just hearing that the backstory or your involvement, your coming up, having had a number of conversations with you, now I feel I see how Philly informs everything that you do,
Yeah, yeah, 1,000,000%.
strongly,
And the South.
strongly. And
Yeah,
yeah,
and the
no,
South.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
My brother and I was shipped, to North Carolina every summer to spend time with our cousins on both sides, both my mother's side and my father's side, 2 weeks
Okay,
apiece.
okay,
And, just to make sure we stay grounded in family,
okay,
but also just getting an understanding where we come from.
okay,
And, kind of why my father rode the way that he did, because my father was the same way. You know what I mean? So, it was good. It was good. I have no complaints about my childhood.
okay. So then the music bug, obviously again you mentioned Gamble and Huff and Patti LaBelle, and we know Teddy Pendergrass and
Yeah.
everything. Philly just was on fire. Where does how does young Marc Byers get invested in music?
Yeah, it's funny. My uncle Frank, man, it's my favorite uncle actually. He passed years ago. He was a guitar player in McFadden and Whitehead,
Okay,
and so we went to the rehearsals with them. We went to the studio. He always took us places with him. So
okay,
it's kind of got introduced then, but not knowing.
okay,
You know what I mean? And as things progressed, my brother and I started traveling, start going to DC, Howard Homecoming, all sorts of
okay,
stuff like that.
okay,
Got a chance to meet Teddy Riley and all those guys and really understood what they were doing,
okay,
but also had a really good relationship with Kenny Gamble and had a chance to kind of like, it's like this like unofficial internship because he kind of allowed me to come into the studio and watch what they were doing. And, once I realized that, I was like, talking to my brothers, like, I think we should try this music thing, so he had went away to the Marines and came back. When he came back,
your brother.
my brother,
So he
yeah,
joined the sir.
my
He
brother
followed
joined,
your
yeah,
your
my
dad.
brother joined the same thing.
Okay, okay,
By the time he came back, I was running around with sports and all sorts of stuff. And then it just
okay,
kind of led to, doing this.
okay,
You know what I mean? Making wrong turns in the streets and everything else. And just one thing led to another. Like this became that thing that we realized that could really be the product that we could be happy with and do. And, we was throwing parties in Philly, very successful parties, and the group came up to ask us to manage them. We just turned it down. Like then eventually we ended up doing it.
okay.
Got him a deal within the first 6 months, man, and then the bug hit. Like, wow, this can actually happen. Didn't do well. We had no success with the group, and the group ended up actually, turning their backs because the vultures were on them. But
It
that was,
happens.
yeah, yeah. But it's look, every opportunity is a lesson. You know what I mean? So it was nothing on our backs. We just kept it moving.
Okay.
Then we start really getting into producers. So it was a
Okay.
kid by the name of Maurice Wilcher, was the first guy that we represented.
Okay.
So we were doing like Freddie Jackson's and all sorts of cats like during that time,
Okay.
you
Okay.
know. And then he ended up becoming an artist. We helped him develop a project, and he ended up becoming an artist. And then I ended up getting recruited to Atlantic.
Okay.
Didn't like it.
Atlantic Records.
Yeah,
Okay.
early '90s. I
Who's the
ended up.
chairman at the time? If you don't, is it
I
obviously
think it was
Ahmet, right?
of the group. It was Ahmet Erdogan, but of Atlantic,
Atlantic
I think
specific.
it was Valazzoli.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, something like that. But I came in through L.A. Reid's brother Bryant.
Okay.
He was the head of Urban at the time.
Okay.
Um,
So wait, LA has a brother that
yeah,
also
yeah,
got it.
yeah. During that time, I'm not sure if he's in music now, but
Okay.
he was in music.
Okay.
And I had been taking music back and forth to Atlanta to LaFace and stuff like that.
Okay.
And this was like, during the times we were kind of, we helped start Rodney Jerkins. So we were taking music of his and the kid Maurice and, other things that we were doing. We were just shopping the music around. And, it got to a point where I wanted to sign the guy, but we had a difference of creative opinion between myself and Brian.
Okay.
And then, the kid was published by Jocelyn Cooper. And she's like, look, why don't you ask him if you could take it somewhere else? So I asked him, he said, yeah. She's like, look, give me a bit and I'll call you back.
Okay.
And, one thing led to another. She called me about a week later with Jimmy Iovine on the phone.
Okay.
And he said he really liked the project that we did. He wanted to sign the kid. He wanted to fly us out, fly the lawyer out,
Okay.
do the deal.
Okay.
So we ended up flying out. Ironically, we got to Jimmy's office. Jimmy gave the artist an envelope and a car service to go shopping and allowed us and the lawyers to negotiate the deal in the conference room. And he was like, we'll call you when the deal is done. And as we negotiated the deal in the conference room, got the deal done, got the check.
1 second. Was it in the conference room? Because Jimmy, first time I met Jimmy, met him with Lil Jon. We had the conference room, but he had this table that spun around, and that's where he served lunch.
Yeah, but
He had the chef.
Yeah, that was his office.
Okay.
Yeah, but the conference room, it was just a regular conference room,
Got it.
and we utilized that space to negotiate the deal. We got the deal done, got the all the proper paperwork put on the table and the check same day.
Wow.
Same day. Then Jimmy was a different player, man, and so we ended up doing that deal. And once
Jimmy's got a love for us.
yeah, so once I recognized that I was getting more money from that deal than Atlantic was paying me, I quit. And I went back to Philly to kind of start this company called Black Friday.
Okay.
And Black Friday was the company kind of like sparked like the street rap movement of Philly.
First time I heard the Black Friday, it was Beanie.
On Bean's album, he said Black Friday
Black
time.
Friday, yeah.
So
yeah.
my brother and I started the company. We bought a partner and a guy that I grew up with named Sadiq.
Okay.
Wasn't in the music business, but I thought he had a real good knack for like promoting and doing parties and stuff in Philly, and you kind of need that aspect, what I mean? So inside of that, we ended up building the company. So we signed Eve, we signed Philly's Most Wanted, and Beans.
Got it.
And through that, I was really focused on, on the Eve business because I thought that she was the business that would really bring forth like what our company could really do. She was the model. Right, of the verticals of business that could happen off an artist, how to break a new artist, but also just like, we're in between the Lauryn Hill and the Kim and Foxy, and we kind of designed Eve to kind of go straight down the middle.
Got it.
She came from a really good family, so if you notice, the music was clean. It was street, but it was clean.
Yeah.
So we were able to be very successful with that. So I mean, the model that you see with all of the girls are using now with fashion and beauty and
Eve was kind of the template.
Eve was the template.
Eve was the template.
Yeah, she was the template. So Chris Chambers and a guy by the name of Kite Brewster really helped me build that.
Chris is the one with the PR company.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Troy Carter, my little cousin, he had came in. I felt like he just had a really good knack for management because he worked with Will and those guys from an internship standpoint,
Okay.
and he came in with just a different management mentality where I'm really a marketing. You know what I mean? I make records and I know how to market. I know how to get it done, get it over the line, and deal with the companies and make sure that they go. So I think we built something special, and through that, it was a lot of other people onboarded by the energy that we brought because we had all the radio station locked up, we had the clubs locked up. We did a club called Baja Beach Club every week. I mean, it was so flooded that the fire marshals came every week. It was a different cultural time in Philly. And then after that, man, it was just kind of time to move on
Okay.
to other things. Everybody had a dream of doing other things. Troy had his dream. My brother and I had our dreams. Sadiq had his dream, and we all went in different directions. And then,
It's not to cut you off, but Troy's someone that probably influenced by you, cause that tech shit, that's Troy's.
it's funny. Like, we went different places, so we ended up in that same area. But I can't say that I influenced that part.
Okay.
I think that when they did I think that some of the development of things around Gaga was like the template of what we built on Eve.
Okay.
But I think he found it organically just through doing business, man. I think people forget that they put a record out through Amazon and they shut Amazon down. They shut the servers down. And at that point, the tech business was basically at their beck and call. When you could bang down Amazon servers, Silicon Valley wants to talk. You know what I mean? So that was purely his doings. I can't take any credit for that at
No,
all.
no, no. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that. I actually love that response, because someone else might be like, yeah, you're like, nah, Troy.
No,
Yeah, that's
he's not a dumb person.
not at
You
all.
know what I mean? And it's like, you can't look. I think there are things that that I have influenced, but
Hmm.
at the same time, it's like it's not like he was ever a dummy. So you know what I'm saying? So it's just a matter of everything is just a matter of opportunity,
And
right?
timing.
Yeah, and timing, and
Yep.
it just was right time, right place, right person, right talent,
Right.
and he seized the moment. You know
Right.
what I mean? As he
Right.
should have.
Right.
But I didn't expect for him not to. I think some people are surprised. I'm not surprised.
Nah.
You know what I mean?
Nah.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. So then, again, you take the break, and then you come back, and then GM at Motown
Mhm.
with Ethiopia.
Mhm.
How does, when you get back in, what's what's the first thing that, having, even though you say that the businesses aren't different and you never stop talking to the consumer, getting back in that space, how was it?
No, it's funny. It's I think look, I think we did pretty well during the time that I was there.
Hmm.
You look at excuse me, you look at the QC machine and how strong it was. I mean, she the stuff that you see happening with the Drakes and all of this energy around that kind of style of rap and stuff like that, you could arguably say that it was Coach P in Ethiopia that started that energy. The Migos changed the way people rapped.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They changed the culture of a lot of things, and it's like she had the vision to see that. You know what I mean? And it's not like Coach and them had a big, roster of artists at the time. When they it was like she believed in them for what their possibilities were, and not just on the product that they had in their hand, which is commending. You know what I mean? Because we don't see that a lot with us.
We don't
Where
see it anymore.
yeah, but also it's just a case where it's like we're in the industry where as though the African Americans never get credit for the talent that they are. It's the talent that they represent. So anytime you take meetings with some of these companies, it's always about, well, what are you repping now? What do you have now? Versus saying, let me make sure that I give you the tools because I already know what you can do. And you look around, folks that don't necessarily look like us, they don't have to go through that same thing.
Yeah, they're getting. I was gonna.
And the
I'm
deals
glad
the
you.
deals are different.
The
You
deals are
know,
way different.
but also like I think they give them a longer runway for success because it does take more than a year or two to kind of create success. Because one, you've got to learn the team, you've got to learn what they're good at, you've got to take a stroke out to see, okay, do we have to tweak this thing a bit to make sure that we can stay consistent at winning, you know. So it's that, right? But it's like, it's like you got to be an autopilot person, anytime you plug in. But you sit and you watch these systems and you watch everything from the A&R department and then some not really see success. And you say, well, why is it that I got this runway, but you guys got this runway, and you're spending way more money to get there while not necessarily gaining ground. So,
And not investing further in the things that you like. If I give you a startup, you know
yeah,
what I mean, and I brought you in for A&R services because you are close to the culture and the street and the community, and you're identifying it. But yet, like again, like you said, like the investment is it's tapered
yeah.
for us.
But also, like, just from a tax perspective, right? If
Okay.
anybody understands business, right?
Okay.
From a tax perspective, giving you a deal is an investment into the business, right?
Got it.
So pass or fail, they could write that off, right?
Right.
So why not make sure that you have enough budget to have enough overhead to have a team around you that can help you acquire success? Because if their team's not acquiring success, how can they help you? So if you have the chops to do it, then give you the tools that you need to make sure that you can acquire success for you and them, right? Give you
Mm-hmm.
the autonomy to help everybody win.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's like these days it's not
I
a
don't
lot
think
of
it's a lot of that.
no, it's not. And it's like there's not a lot of superstars in these companies anymore because I feel like social media has taken a place where the executives are competing with the artists because they feel like they're artists now too. You know what I mean? So you've got a lot of that going on, and it's like, look, some of them I can't knock, right? If there weren't a crew of people before you that looks like you that can educate you on the mistakes not to make, then you can fall into the minutia of all of the goings on of the business, right? Or of the environment to
Mm-hmm.
feel like you have to stay popular to be able to get a job or keep a job or
But that's
show
how they
that,
make us feel.
yeah,
Like you gotta have a cool nickname. You better come in with the ice, the rolly or whatever. You know what I mean? It's more for us. I feel like I'm not saying it has to be like you said. We need more mentors. You know, you need more LAs. You need more Marc Byers. You need more Mark Pitts. You need more the guys that, Jeff Hurlston, whoever behind the scenes that can help, mold a little bit more. You know what I mean? Because these guys feel under pressure to come in and like again be almost as big like, they're rivaling the artists as opposed to being able to comfortably sit back and just do the job of delivering.
yeah. But look, there's a skill set issue that's
Okay.
happening out here, right? Because
Okay.
one, does your A&R know how to A&R? Meaning, get in there with whoever the creators are and make sure that they give the energy and the knowledge and the direction for the creators in the room to make the right product that the marketing department can actually get, the promo department can get to work, right? Where nobody feels like they're necessarily begging to get this going. It's a lot on the A&R department, right? So you look and some of the producers aren't producing. The A&Rs aren't A&R because they got you chasing TikTok. The producers are allowing an engineer to do their job, right? Because they say, oh, no, no, I can edit that. And it's like, where I come from, no, we cut that vocal over until the
Mm-hmm.
vocal's right.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of teaches you a skill set. But if this person is in the room kind of taking a part of that job away from you because it's efficient, right? Then all of a sudden you're not learning the things that you need to learn, for your job, right?
Yeah.
From a marketing standpoint, I think a lot of the marketers are project managers but not marketers, right? Because marketers, they unpack things, right? They create ideas and opportunities to make a consumer want to unpack a project to be interested in a project, right? So I feel like that's a fundamental difference as well. Stacking up marketing people with too many projects kind of trims down their ability to kind of create
Create.
around
Yeah,
it, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So now you've got that issue as well where a marketer may have had the tools, right? They may have had the skill set, but if they're doing 8 to 10 projects,
Nothing's gonna be
now
special.
where does that happen? Now it's just around dates and not making sure that you crack it open so there's interest in the actual product, right? And
Yeah,
creating discovery,
yeah,
as well,
yeah.
And then it's like, how much time are they going to spend on the project to make sure that they break it, adverse to having to move on because there's another priority backing them up to that they have to attend to as well. So it's a lot of these nuances that I'm noticing because the average company is chasing, instead of saying, okay, we make this product, right? We make country or we make rock or we make this or we make that. TikTok and all of these streaming and this new data and somebody hurried up and putting $1 on the table has taken it away from the art of companies saying that we specifically do this type of work. And when you do that, you can compile success because if this artist feels like the new artist is a part of the culture of what they are, then they'll say, you know what, you can come open for me, or I'll do something with that person, or that person can do backgrounds for me. There's some level of relationship that'll happen when it's tribal, right? Country
Right,
artists do it,
right,
hip hop artists do it, so on and so forth. But
right.
I feel like the labels kind of break that up by just playing the chase game of not having an identity of who they are you know. Also, it's like I feel like every genre of music needs a department, you know.
Absolutely.
And I noticed that the young people didn't want to use like urban anymore or black music departments and things like that. But now they're lacking kind of leadership that can drive your project from front to back.
Exactly.
That understands your culture, that understands that when you bring it in your P&L for your marketing project, exactly what that means and why, because they're part of the supply chain of culture to understand that why. So if I don't understand the why, how am I going to release the right money? How am I going to properly commit to your project? So it's a lot of nuances that create inefficiencies on the urban side that I've noticed, from company to company these days that didn't exist during the days of like the Clives, the Tommy Mottolas, and the Ahmet Ertegans and all of these guys. They really empowered black folks to really understand their culture and really run up the numbers
So you think these young kids got tricked?
a bit.
They did.
Yeah,
They got
yeah,
tricked by
yeah.
saying, "I don't want to be called the black music department or the urban department," like you just said. It's almost like
I think streaming, right? There's a part of streaming that trick them, not necessarily people, right? Because, us coming up, we listen to a genre, and now like things are so intertwined on streaming because you've got all of this music that's just up there. So a Post Malone might cross with a Drake, that might cross with Amigos, that might cross with something else.
but the executives aren't crossing.
Yeah, no, the executives aren't
The exact
crossing.
because we have a clear there's a clear lane. Like if I if an let's an executive that looks like us brings in Noah Kahan, who's doing crazy right now, it's like, do you really know that? And we should attach this to you, and this should happen, and blah blah blah. And then all of a sudden, you're not getting to play. Now you may still, if you have him signed to a production company, you're still getting your royalties and your override. But slowly but surely, or fast, you're moved away from that artist. Whereas the other guy, our other colleagues can step into these spaces and live there without any problem.
Yeah.
And
Um,
that's a problem.
no, no, it is. But again, like it's cultural efficiencies, right?
Okay.
you know, we could say race, we could say this, that, and the other. We talking culture. Like if you don't live the life of the product, you shouldn't touch it.
Period.
And because there's going to be some things that you don't understand and slow it down, and then that creates frustration, that creates inefficiencies, and that creates slowing down the money. So my thing is, if you care much about your bottom line the way that you should care, then the people that live that life should be on the product to make sure that it's going through, that even you're in position to understand the project better because you've empowered somebody to understand that, to explain it to you, in leadership, no matter who you are, black, white, or indifferent,
Or
right?
indifferent. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
it's that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So now the new we're right here. What's going on? You spoke of Africa, and I know you have a tremendous love for that and its music, and you're on the front line. You started the label. The name of the label again?
It's protect the culture.
Protect the
The whole
culture.
company is protect the culture, and the label is just a part of it.
Yeah.
So it's a state of mind, right? It's really about being able to make sure that we're a platform of understanding the quality of us, but also the quality of art that we put out and representation, everything across the board, connectivity, relationship development, everything. So that's kind of where the company stands. The label is just a part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Great name.
Yeah, so I hear. So I hear. So I hear.
what 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 are you excited about? I'm sure we never have to worry about music with you. What are you about to what are you putting out? What's the
No, it's
first?
funny. Like I'm excited, man, just about like the growth of Africa. I feel like in America we've kind of lost our way a little bit. You look at the content that we're putting out, what's representing our culture and from a mass standpoint.
Yep.
you know, I don't knock any genre, any necessarily conversation, but I feel like if we over index in negativity, then we've done ourselves a disservice, right? But if there's balance and you've got this other thing that's happening over here and that's happening over there, but we've got balance, then it all works, right? Because, you know, no two people are the same. And no one's saying that we don't have a culture of like some ratchet stuff, but we also need to understand that we have a culture of clean and quality
And
and
jazz and
respect and
yeah.
everything else when it comes to what we are and love and not just strip and this, that, and the other. So it's like we have a huge imbalance in the language that's happening in the music where, you know, I'm watching whole families dance to music in Africa. You know what I mean? And I think, music needs to be utilized in the proper fashion to bring us together versus separating us, right? So I don't want to have to have a different conversation, because music is being played,
Got it.
and the fact that, some of this language, some of the content, so to speak, it was there when we were younger, right? It's just that it was more poetic. Where now everything's just so straight to it that it's not going over the head of a child. You know what I'm saying? It's actually influencing the child in the wrong way. And we have to be mindful of the fact that you have the internet and it's completely uncensored. You know what I mean? That a kid can absolutely get to that content, and we see it. So it's like, how are we being accountable to our own to make sure that we're protecting the next generation for healthy growth? Because we had it. We had a real shot at growing, at having a childhood.
Yeah.
And I'm watching children's childhood get erased
Get erased right
by
now.
by people not being accountable to what the music can produce. So
I just had this conversation with somebody, and I was just sharing. It was a spirited conversation, because obviously we're pro the culture, um, but I feel like the culture or the community is sending mixed signals,
hmm
and the mixed signals are detrimental.
yeah,
You know what I mean? When not addressed and not aligned, or not like we need to see a first. That's the other thing. Community. I think the community. I think there is a sense of there is talk of community, but I don't across a lot of mediums, sports, music, all of us, especially where we are sort of the big ticket in these things.
yeah.
Um,
But we're new.
are we
Like,
new? Are we?
yeah, when you look at just revenue and
Okay,
being
okay,
on board, right? It's
okay,
like,
okay,
look, we can point fingers and things like that. We have to hold ourselves accountable sometimes. Then we have to
absolutely.
have the honest truth on the table, right? And
Okay,
like when you look at, you build resumes, you apply for jobs and things like that, and race is put on it. When you sit in a country that was built on race, right? Completely built on the idea of racism. We can't act like it went away. all of a sudden, right? Maybe
Yep.
camouflage, maybe people that may not live in the idea of it, right? But when it all pans down, they're going to stand on race, right?
True.
So now we have a culture of people like us that we have been the arts of this country. So from the very beginning, the music business was built around black talent, right? So now you've got streaming happening, right? And you've got us at the bottom of economics that says, wow, I could just put this up and I could start making a life and this, that, and the other. So like I understand the hustle aspect of it in some instance, right?
Okay.
I'm not making excuses for it, but I understand it, right? Because
Okay.
if you can't get a job, you can't do this, that, and the other, but you can like, wow, I could kind of do a record like what Baby did. I could kind of copy that, make me one. You know what I'm saying? And next thing you know, it's making you a couple bucks. Now this is your hustle. This is your crack. This is your whatever it may be. This is that thing, right? That can
Okay.
be done at very little cost to make the product that I could just put it up for free and see what happens, right? So, because people are making beats on the phone now, they're buying beats for $100, $50, this, that, and the other. So they can go through this stuff and actually acquire these things very cheap to try to figure out how to take a crack at life. So I understand a part of that. But once you start getting there, you know, what how are you looking in the mirror in regards to what you produced, right? Because we all got to grow up. You watch athletes come in, sometimes they're a little cocky, they're making these little mistakes because they don't really understand the level that they've gone to. But as they move around a bit, they start realizing, well, let me make these adjustments because I want to keep doing this, right? I don't feel like music is necessarily making those adjustments. I feel like we're doing a lot of hustling and not a lot of really looking at the accountability and saying, wow, I'm at the place now I could buy these two houses, I could buy these four cars, I could buy this $200,000-$300,000 worth of jewelry, but
But
I haven't adjusted
but
how I'm
that but that's
operating as a
but that's
human.
but that's what I'm saying. The adjustment, right? So we had Ty Baisden on. You know Ty, worldwide Ty manages
Yeah,
Brent
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Fayez,
Great
whatever.
guy.
Amazing,
Yeah,
brilliant, brilliant, brilliant.
yeah.
And he said in our conversation, uh, the reason that you're seeing it go in this direction is because of what you pointed out. You're only reiterating. He said if somebody is watching someone able to make it through, you know what I'm saying, that bottlenecked area and get to it and do it at a very low level, low vibration level, monetarily, what they're saying, all of this, the low hanging fruit, but having huge success, that's what you're going to see because there's nobody else in the conversation saying, cool, but also let's have some balance and some continuity and see some nuances. We're not having the nuanced conversation, and we can't. I just feel like we can't keep saying, you know, I hear your point, but we're young, we're new to this. No, you're in this. LA's into this. I understand from a historic standpoint, we're new to certain things, but there's enough information, and this is without judgment, that there's enough information to go around where we have to start correcting these
Well,
things.
well, look,
Correction needs to
look,
happen.
listen, I agree with you. Correction needs to happen. There's
Okay.
an aspect of it that I don't agree to because when you say new to this, like, we're some of the fortunate few that have gotten a chance to travel a bit, be at business levels a bit, get out of our neighborhood, the whole nine, and
Got it.
like see a different echelon of opportunity and say, well, let me make this a little adjustment, right? Because I was a little rougher at the edges,
Same.
right? Right? But
Trust.
also, the idea of being in the game wasn't so plentiful in information, opportunity, this, that, and the other. So you had to make adjustments just to get in the room. Then once you got in the room, you say, "Whoo! If I make another adjustment, I'm gonna get right here." Where the barrier of entry is so low, right? That there's not necessarily adjustments that people have in mind because they still may be moving in the same low vibration society, so to speak, and still making money,
Yeah.
right? So we got to understand like there's tiers to this,
Absolutely.
right?
Agreed.
And
Agreed.
streaming has inserted the amateur game into the pro business. You know what I'm saying? So we got to understand that too. So it's
Are
like,
we seeing that in all our mediums? Because are we seeing that? I think we're seeing that in sports.
Not as much.
You
Not
don't
as
think
much.
so?
Yeah, and the reason why I'm saying that, right? Because to get to the dollar in sports, you still got to get to a certain level, right? So you're going to have to like play by a certain rule or get a certain understanding because you have to keep running in these rooms to try to figure it out. And you're getting this education, so to speak, by watching this pro or this guy pulling you to the side because you ball and you kind of seeing how he move. These kids could sit,
But
these kids, hold on.
okay.
These kids could literally sit in their city, still in their hood, and make money and never ever feel like they're part of the pro game, but they're making money because of streaming. Ain't no streaming for you to dribble a basketball. Ain't you know what I'm saying?
Actually, there is. It's called the
No,
NIL.
no. The NIL, you still have to get there.
But listen, you're not. You're. But
You gotta get there.
But again, the barrier is super low. I
It's
listen.
lower.
It's look,
Listen,
cause I'm around these high school athletes and their parents, and I know I can tell you firsthand. I know 6 to 8 kids, 750,000 a year at the school, blah 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 blah, and so that kid is now under the mindset. Whether you tell him or not, like, yo, there's a next step. You haven't
well, see,
made
this
it.
is the
That kid
difference.
is thinking he made it,
But this is the difference.
and there's nobody that can tell him shit.
The time out. This
Go
is the
ahead.
difference.
Okay.
He ain't gonna be at the BET Awards. He's not gonna be at any of that pro level stuff in his world. So if he's just making streaming money and he's over there on that side, he's just making money, but he's not getting an integration into the game, so to speak, right? In this case, they're getting insertion into the game, but they're still very much amateurs just making money. So it's much different. It's much different.
You think?
Yeah, it's much different,
So
man.
you're telling me a kid that's getting $1 million a year
Mm-hmm.
to play quarterback
Mm-hmm.
at a Division I school,
Mm-hmm. We
also getting a
we not again. We
getting a
not talk.
commercial at
But
Gatorade.
you heard what you just said
Yeah,
at a Division I school.
yeah, but he getting the money in high school.
Time out. Where's the school for music?
Got it.
Where is it? Thank you. There's no daggone school, bro. I'm talking on facts, bro. I'm not
Yeah.
emotional.
I got it.
One thing you understand about me when it comes
Yeah,
to anything about life and information, there's no emotions that
yeah.
happens within what I'm talking about. You operate on facts only because that's the only thing that can move the needle and that's the only thing that you can stand on, right? Everything else, I'm not emotional about any
But
of
is
this
there? But
because you
also, is
can't
it?
find the problem. You can't find the problem being in your feelings.
Yeah.
You know what I
No,
mean?
no, no.
So I'm
But
not
there's
there.
also, I would say though, there's also not a school for like this new NIL, this new because it's NIL is almost to me like streaming, in the sense of like it's the new West. Is there's so much shit going on and
But guess what? There's still structure being put around it, right? There's still leagues being created and other things like that. This music stuff is just the wild, wild west.
yeah,
There's nobody saying, okay, we're going to have a circuit for these amateurs.
yeah, yeah. I get it. I get it.
People on board them because they say, yo, dude, get money out of Memphis, man. You got 3, 4 Benzes and this, that, and the other, and da 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 da. And
Yeah.
next thing you know, that energy got him in the door. But is he a pro,
Speaking of
right?
yeah, speaking of sports and pros, my guy is a huge sports fan.
Boxing most of all.
We're gonna talk boxing and football.
Yeah.
So let's we a week away from Gervonta and Frank Martin.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
I mean, look, somebody's got to beat Javante before I think we jump on it. I think we feel like we move way too fast, new energy. Somebody putting promo, it's this, that, and the other. They competed against this, that. But I've watched, I used to box when I was younger. I was a Golden Gloves fighter in Philly.
Okay.
And I watched guys that can get busy in camp, but can't do it when the lights turn on, when the real fight happens. If something happens in their mind that they realize ain't nobody gonna break this up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the one thing that we've understood about Tank is that he's performed at every level as the same guy. I've watched fights with Frank that I'm like, He's got talent, but am I necessarily impressed because he didn't clean this guy out?
Yeah.
So it's like until you can clean a Tank out, or you can just consistently clean guys out, we're like, yo, you're on the level. Like the guys that get those kind of kudos, the Mike Tysons, the Tanks, the Muhammad Ali's, the Sugar Ray Leonards, the Pernell Whitakers, the Mayweathers, like the Durans, like these guys have a track record and fight after fight after fight. You understand the level that they are against their opponent. It's a landslide. I haven't seen that with this guy. Can he box? Yeah, but there's a lot of people that can box.
Give me
But
your,
Tank's a different talent.
so I want two lists from you. Give me your top three Philly fighters of all time.
All
And
time.
then give me your top three fighters right now. Whether it's you have a reverence for them, you love them, or you're saying, or pound for pound. Your top three pound for pound, and then your top three all time Philly fighters.
Um,
I'll give you five because that's
Georgie
hard.
Benton.
Okay.
That was my trainer, Pernell, and all those guys' trainer, but he was the one that made the style up
Okay.
that Mayweather uses,
Okay.
the shoulder
The
roll.
shoulder roll.
Yeah. You've got Frazier. You've got Meldrick Taylor. 1,000,000% should be on that list. You've got Matthew Saad Muhammad. You know,
And then Bernard.
Bernard Hopkins.
Bernard.
That's it. That's the list.
No Danny Garcia.
Danny, but you told me I had 5. Yeah,
Yeah.
Danny's on. Look, if you gave me 6 or 10, Danny would be on the list.
All right.
Stuff like that. But you know, these guys were different.
Top 5 pound for pound fighters right now.
Right now,
Right now. Right now.
Canelo, Benavidez.
In that order?
No,
just
no order.
Okay, no
Yeah,
order.
Canelo,
no order.
Benavidez, Tank.
Okay.
Canelo, Benavidez, Tank. Think of who else? I gotta think about that. I gotta think about who else I want to put on that list.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Okay.
it's a few guys that have that got it that might not get the news they supposed to get
Okay.
and stuff like that. But to me, right now, those 3, you know what I mean, has showed consistency.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
You got some names that I'm not thinking about.
Top 5 fighters right now for me. Right now, just right not of all time.
I'm talking about bring it home
Yeah.
every fight.
Okay.
Like
Tank.
forget all of the rankings and
Yeah,
all
yeah.
of that.
Fuck all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tank. I it's so hard for me. So Benavidez for me is not like this technical thing, but he's just a monster, and
He's not technical?
I don't. He's not like. I don't look at him like the way I looked at Bernard and James Toney, right? Like that's my thing for his, because he's like what 168, and he didn't do it. But he's just for me, he's a mauler. He gets it done. He stalks and whatever. So
His boxing ability, man.
you think?
Yes. Like you forget, like, because he'll dog you, you forget that he boxed you before he dogged you.
Okay. Okay.
Period.
So, okay.
Yeah.
So Benavidez, Tank. Who else am I loving right now? Benavidez, Tank. I forget I know the rankings and all of that, but Boots.
I think, look,
Boots is right there.
Listen, Boots is.
But he needs the fight.
Listen, what I'm saying, I'm a big champion of Boots. He's from the crib. I know his dad. Like,
Yeah.
extremely talented,
Yeah.
right? But like anybody, I'm not going to step over the line.
And Crawford's the best of all to me.
Before
right now.
Crawford, I forgot.
now.
Crawford
Right now.
is on that list, right?
Yeah, right now.
And excuse me, Crawford, for that one, but he should absolutely be on that list,
Yeah.
right? But I think Boots, when the guys decide to give him the fights, we're going to be able to say who he is, right?
Guy.
We know he's talented, right?
Yeah.
But everybody talented, they need that one opponent to just prove it, right? Because they keep him in this space where, yeah, he's the exciting guy, but none of the guys are taking him on. I want one of these guys to take the fight so we can now say Boots is on that
And
list.
Bud needed that from Earl.
Yeah,
Earl gave him
yeah,
that.
one
Even
million
though
percent.
Sean Porter, whatever you could, but Earl gave him that thing.
Yeah,
So
you need it.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
Listen, as always, first off, I want to thank you. I want to take this time to thank you because I was going through a moment, and there's not a lot of people that you can reach out to and feel like it's a safe space, and know that the energy that they're giving to you has no agenda other than bettering yourself. They want to see you in a better space, and that's what you've always given me. So I appreciate it.
That's what we're
Uh,
supposed to do.
yeah,
It's like how you gonna get your blessings from God if you're not giving the blessings that you have? So
yeah,
it
yeah,
just kind of is what it is.
yeah.
Like I don't build my life on agendas with people and their information or what can we do together and this, that, and the other. I believe in the talent that I have. So the majority of my time, I'm kind of giving people game on how to make their stuff better, where they can absolutely see there's no agenda for me, because I'm giving you how to correct your jump shot. I'm not saying, yo, when you give me the ball, then we going to do this.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
nah,
yeah.
bro. Like, you might just need to squat a little bit more, come up off your toes a little bit better, and you're gonna be cool. Because I feel like if we get each other to a certain level, then we could play. But until then, like, just get somebody the game so they can get on the court the right way. So if you turn around and you do have to pass in the ball, then they can shoot it, they can score. So
No more needs to be said on that. No. Marc Byers, Malik Rasheed, a sweet life. I appreciate you, King.
no, thank you, man.